and having to reinvent yourself. I mean, what do you do? What do you do as a washed up Navy SEAL CIA guy? Man.
I mean, when I was 18, I mean, Christ, man, wouldn't have even been a thought to do. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what's going on at 18. But you're
Yeah.
like, "Fuck it, we're gonna become a SEAL." That's pretty cool.
Well, thank you.
But what about, like, you've been really open on your platform, not just through your guests, but with yourself about like your own experience with. We highlighted a little bit of this earlier, but like, taking it home with you. Being in war zones and high octane situations for 15 years, pretty much, and then shutting it down in 2015 and coming home and being a civilian and still having, I don't know, maybe some of the things that you had to do every day now hitting you because you get to think about it for the first time. Like, how bad did the experiences with PTSD get for you?
They got pretty bad. I mean, when you come home, it's not just all the traumatic events that you've experienced and all the things that you had to do and all the things that you had to see and shit that maybe you could have done something about that you didn't. And it's also, I mean, you're stripped of your identity, that you've put so much into that, so much blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, just to get to the point where you have the opportunity to go into combat as a spec operator. I mean, that alone is, a grueling process, and then to experience it and to experience loss and you come home and you don't feel appreciated at all. And all you hear are everybody's opinions on why we shouldn't be there. And you see people like Gallagher and these Blackwater guys get fucking railroaded. And it can build a lot of resentment. A lot of resentment. And so you're dealing with all of this shit. You know what I mean? I mean, fuck, man, you can't even get medical care when you get home because the VA's a fucking disaster and nobody gives a shit. You don't ever hear anybody talking about that, do you?
Not enough.
All you hear about is, oh, we got to do something for these people because they can't get their shit together. We got to make it easier. We got to drop standards. We got to fucking, and it's like, what the fuck, man? What about the people that actually give a shit about this fucking country? What about them? Nobody cares. VA's still a disaster. It always will be a fucking disaster. Nobody gives a shit except other veterans, and we have to lift ourselves up because nobody else will do it for us, and support each other, and we're good at that, in a lot of ways, but it's tough, man, to have all these different feelings and experiences happening to you, and then feeling all that shit on top of it, and having to reinvent yourself. I mean, what do you do? What do you do as a fucking washed up Navy SEAL CIA guy? What do you do?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. The skills don't fucking translate. You gotta start a business, but I mean, you know how hard that shit is. Nobody's gonna tell you how to do it. I mean, not that, and none of these guys expect them to, but some people just don't have it in them, but these skills, they don't translate. So you have to start over. You go from the apex of war fighting, what you go from what people dream about being. I mean, fantasizing about it when you're little, playing G.I. Joes and watching the fucking Vietnam movies and watching shit like Black Hawk Down and Lone Survival and all these things, right? Nowadays, what else are they watching? Benghazi, all that kind of stuff, and then you come home and it's just all stripped away from you and it's time to start over. Where do you start? What do you do? Go back to school with a bunch of 18-year-old dipshits, It doesn't. You don't fit in anywhere.
I think, from the outside, it seems like there's nothing that can even slightly approach that adrenaline. That's one thing. But the other thing is the sense of purpose. What I'm hearing in that answer you're giving is like the purpose is gone. Because think of it this way. Let's say you had a goal day one. Oh, I'm going to go start business X. Make it worth $20 million in 10 years. That sounds cool, but at the end of the day, it's like it's a business with some money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not... You can't recreate the life and death importance. Right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah. And the stuff that you would think that it would translate to doesn't. Police, FBI, these organizations where you think that they would be like, all right, we have these guys who've been operating at the apex of warfare. They don't want us because they think we're a bunch of loose cannons. When really, I mean, we are like the premier experts at target identification and not shooting civilians, and way better than anybody else out there. I mean, the precisions that it takes to do those type of operations. I mean, you don't just go in there and just fucking smoke everybody. You're processing every single room. You're reading every single room, every step that everybody's making, every movement, all of it. There's no room for error, and then you come home and you think maybe I'll go work for the FBI or DEA or police department. I'll be a SWAT guy. They don't hire these guys
because they're afraid of if they're fucked up or something.
Yeah, they're afraid of the psychological stuff, which is fucking ridiculous. I mean, we were just doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then 2, egos.
What do you mean egos?
For a guy like, let's just take Kyle Morgan, for example. The knowledge that guy has and the level that he was operating at would be beneficial to every police department in the fucking country. And not just him, all these guys that have been on my show. Me, Shipley, Eddie Penny, Nick Lavery, all of them. I mean, this active shooter stuff, if people would hire these guys, would be dropped dramatically. But they're not going to do it because they're going to come in and tell these departments how fucked up they are. You know what I mean? How outdated their tactics are, how they need to change things, and that's not going to go good. That's going to ruffle feathers, and they don't want that shit, And man, this is a big subject to tackle, man. But as far as coming home, but it's all of these things, and because you think it would just carry over, right? Like they would love to have these guys, because that's what I thought. They don't, and then it fucks with you because they don't want you, and you don't know. It's like why? Like I could bring so much to the table here, and then bam, there you go. Loss of purpose. Then you have nothing but time on your hands to drink, drug, and relive all the shit that you've been dealing with. And it turns into this fucked up cycle that kills a lot of us. I mean, I've had more friends kill themselves than I have died in combat. By a long shot.
You're not the first person I've heard that from. I've heard that from a lot of veterans. That blows my fucking mind.
There's a real crisis going on in the veteran community, and it's been going on for a long time. Yeah. And you never fucking hear about it ever.
You said something really interesting in there a few minutes ago, though, when you were talking about how you're mentioning like the FBI, police department stuff. They think these guys are loose cannons or whatever, and I'm paraphrasing what you said, but it's like, what do you mean they were just there? they're translating right over.
Yeah.
You get them when they come back, you translate it right over. And this is really telling to me because I don't remember who said it. Someone really smart a long time ago said it. But there's a quote I think about a lot where they say the hardest thing for a man to do is sit alone in a room with nothing but his thoughts and be okay. And from the outside, it seems like that is probably a key trigger to the downward spiral that can happen when guys do lose their purpose and then don't have opportunity and aren't wanted. Whereas, not to say like, oh, let's kick the can down the curb, that's or down the road, that's not what I mean, but like if guys did kind of have that in a good way, like rotating door to come back to, where like, oh, you can go here, you can go there, yada, 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 and they could kind of stay with it. They're not in a war zone now, stakes are lower, but like their expertise is used. They feel that purpose. It's almost like I don't want to say the wrong words here, but it's almost like a soft landing from the hardest ride. Whereas when you come back and then you're alone with your thoughts, you're not wanted, you don't have a purpose, everything creeps in, it's like a crash landing from that ride. That's how it seems to me, at least. I don't know if that's fair to say. Yeah,
I mean, that's a good way to put it, you know. But it's there's just so many things going on all at once, you know. It's like your entire life got ripped out from under you. Nobody understands you. Nobody understands why you get pissed off all the time. Nobody understands why you're so passionate about what people are saying about what's going on over there, because they don't fucking know, because the media doesn't report what's actually going on, and then you listen to these uninformed opinions, and you're dealing with all the trauma that you've had to deal with, and all the shit that you've seen, and friends are still fucking dying, and then your buddies are killing themselves, and especially for these guys that are getting out now, they know what. Back when I got out the first time, you know, out of the teams, and I didn't know any of this shit. I was just dealing with it. But now these guys know, like, they know suicide's a real threat. I mean, I could just go on and on and on about people that are some of the strongest men that I looked up to, and that you never, ever in a million fucking years would think that they would do this.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.